Is someone stealing your peace right now? Think about it. They don't need your permission. They don't even need to be in the same room. It could be a single comment they left online, a look they gave you last week, or even just a memory of something that happened years ago. And just like that, your entire emotional state is hijacked. It feels like you've handed over the remote control to your own mind, and they're just flipping through the channels, leaving you feeling anxious, angry, or sad. What if I told you there's a way to take that remote back for good? This isn't about avoiding people or pretending things don't bother you. It's not about building walls or becoming cold. It's about developing a psychological framework that makes you emotionally untouchable. It's about understanding the real reason why the most powerful, calm, and respected people you know rarely seem to react. They don't get pulled into drama. They don't feel the need to constantly justify themselves. And they never let external chaos disturb their internal peace. This is your chance to become unshakable. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be learned. You'll discover how to observe a situation without absorbing its negativity. You'll learn to process emotions without letting them control your actions. This isn't about suppressing what you feel, it's about mastering your response to it. You'll be able to stand firm in who you are no matter what's happening around you. You will become the calm in the storm. Imagine living a life where someone else's bad mood doesn't ruin your day. Imagine receiving criticism and being able to extract the value without feeling the sting of the delivery. This is the freedom that comes from being in control of your own emotional world. You're not just managing stress. You're building a foundation of inner strength that can't be rattled. You're about to become the person who decides how they feel every single day. Are you ready to take back control? Let's start with the truth that most people will never accept. Your peace is your responsibility, not your boss's, not your partner's, not your parents' or society's. It's yours. And the moment you truly internalize this, not just understand it intellectually, but feel it deep in your bones, everything changes. Because right now, you're probably living like your emotional state is a democracy. You've given everyone a vote. Your co-worker's snide comment gets a vote. Your ex's new social media post gets a vote. That stranger who cut you off in traffic, they get a vote too. And at the end of every day, you tally up these votes and let them decide whether you feel good or terrible. Think about how insane that is. It is like giving away the remote control to your own mind and letting random people change the channels whenever they feel like it. You wouldn't let a stranger walk into your house and rearrange your furniture. You wouldn't hand over your car keys to every person who asked. So why are you handing over control of your most precious asset, your peace of mind, to people who have done nothing to earn that privilege? Most people spend their entire lives waiting for difficult people to become easier, waiting for the chaos around them to just settle down. They think, once my boss stops micromanaging me, I'll finally be happy. Or, once my family stops criticizing me, I'll have peace. You know what happens while you're waiting? Years pass, decades even, and nothing changes. Because you've made your peace conditional on things you cannot control. That's not a strategy. That's a self-imposed prison sentence. Here's the fundamental shift you need to make. Your emotional state is not a response to your environment. It's a choice you make regardless of your environment. Imagine someone throws a bag of garbage onto your front lawn. You wouldn't open the door, invite it inside and start arranging it neatly on your sofa, right? You'd leave it outside where it belongs. But emotionally, that's exactly what we do. Someone throws a nasty comment at you, and you pick it up, bring it inside your mind, replay it 50 times, analyze it from every angle, and let it contaminate your entire mental space. Someone disrespects you, and you carry that disrespect around like a backpack full of rocks, pulling it out every few hours just to remind yourself how wronged you were. Why? Because you haven't accepted the truth. Your peace is your responsibility. Research shows that the average person experiences emotional hijacking 15 to 20 times per day. That means 15 to 20 times a day, Your mood, your focus, and your sense of self-worth are being dictated by external events and other people's behavior. A single bad email ruins your morning. A critical comment from a friend ruins your afternoon. A passive-aggressive text from your partner ruins your whole evening. And here's the worst part. The people who are stealing your peace, they aren't even thinking about you. They said what they said, did what they did, and moved on with their day. They're not lying awake at night worried about your feelings, but you're still there, still replaying it, still letting it control you. That isn't empathy, it's not sensitivity, it's emotional slavery. You are a prisoner in a jail of your own making, and the key is right in your pocket. So what does taking responsibility actually look like in the real world? It means you stop waiting for the world to become peaceful before you allow yourself to be peaceful. It means you stop expecting people to change their behavior before you change your response. It means you radically accept that you are the only person on this planet who can protect your emotional state, and you start acting like it. Let me give you a practical example. Say you have a family member who constantly criticizes you. Every time you see them, there's a comment about your job, your weight, your life choices. Every single time. The person who hasn't taken responsibility for their peace keeps showing up, hoping it'll be different, and keeps getting hurt. They complain to their friends, they vent to their partner, they lose sleep wondering why this person can't just be supportive. But nothing ever changes, because they're waiting for the other person to change. Now, the person who has taken responsibility for their peace does something different. They recognize the pattern. They accept that this person is unlikely to change, and they make a decision. Maybe they set a firm boundary. I love you, but I'm not discussing my personal life with you anymore. Maybe they limit contact. I'll see you at major holidays, but I can't do weekly dinners. Or maybe they just emotionally detach. I hear your opinion, and I'm choosing not to let it affect me. Do you see the difference? One person is reactive, the other is proactive. One person is a victim, the other is in control. One has outsourced their peace, and the other has claimed it as their own. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. But shouldn't people be held accountable for how they treat others? Shouldn't there be consequences? Absolutely. But holding people accountable and surrendering your peace are two completely different things. You can set boundaries without losing your calm. You can walk away from toxic situations without carrying the toxicity with you. You can demand respect without your sense of worth being dependent on whether you receive it. Taking responsibility for your peace doesn't mean you tolerate mistreatment. It means you don't give that mistreatment the power to destroy you from the inside. And there is a massive difference. When you finally accept this responsibility, something incredible happens. You stop being shocked when people act exactly how they've always acted. You stop feeling betrayed when people show you who they really are. You stop being devastated when things don't go your way. Why? Because your inner stability is no longer built on the unstable foundation of other people's behavior. It's built on the solid ground of your own self-ownership. You become the person who can walk into a room full of chaos and remain centered. You become the person who can face criticism without crumbling. You become the person who can experience disappointment without spiraling into despair. Not because nothing bothers you, but because you've decided that your peace is non-negotiable and you're willing to do whatever it takes to protect it. This is the foundation. This is where it all begins. Once you accept radical ownership of your emotional state, you can start building the habits that make you truly unshakable. But first, you have to truly accept it. Say it with me. My peace is my responsibility. Now let's talk about everyone who's been getting a vote in your mental state without earning the privilege. Chapter 2. Stop giving everyone a vote in your mental state. Imagine your mind is a boardroom. In the center, there's a huge table with executive chairs all around it. Every single day, critical decisions are made right here. Decisions about your self-worth, your next move, whether you're good enough, smart enough, or worthy enough. Now I want you to ask yourself a tough question. Who is sitting at that table? For most of us, the answer is pretty terrifying. Your critical parent is there. Your judgmental ex is there. Your competitive co-worker. Your childhood bully. Even random people from social media are sitting right there at the table. Strangers who made one offhand comment 5 years ago still have a seat. The boardroom of your mind is packed with people who have no business influencing your life's biggest decisions. And yet, every single day you're giving them a vote. Every time you replay a negative conversation in your head, that person gets a vote. Every time you overthink a comment, they get another vote. Every time you change your behavior because you're worried about what someone else will think, that's another vote cast. Here's the brutal, honest truth. Most of these people don't actually care about you. They aren't invested in your success. They aren't qualified to judge your choices. In fact, they're probably not even thinking about you at all right now. But you've given them permanent, reserved seats at your boardroom table. It's time to stop giving everyone a vote in your mental state. Let me show you how this plays out in real life. You post something on social media. It gets a ton of positive responses, but there's one negative comment. Just one. From someone you don't even know. And what do? You completely ignore the 50 positive comments and obsess over that single negative one. You might even screenshot it, show it to friends, or spend hours crafting the perfect comeback in your head. You lose sleep over it. In that moment, that stranger now has a vote. A loud, powerful vote that drowns out everyone else. Or how about this one? You're at a family gathering and you mention a goal you're excited about. And your uncle, the one who's never really accomplished much himself, scoffs and says, "That's a bit unrealistic. You should be more practical." And just like that, a seed of doubt is planted. You start second-guessing your plans. You wonder if maybe he's right. Your uncle now has a vote. And his vote could be powerful enough to derail your entire future. One more. You're in a great new relationship. Things are going well. But then you see on social media that your ex, the one who treated you terribly, is dating someone new, and it ruins your entire week. Even though you're happy now, their life still affects yours. They still have a vote. Do you see the pattern here? You're walking around with a mental boardroom full of people who simply do not deserve to be there. And their votes are shaping your mood, your decisions, and your sense of self every single day. Let's look at the research. Studies show that people who constantly seek external validation experience 40% higher stress levels and significantly lower life satisfaction. 40%. That's because when you outsource your self-worth, you're building your identity on quicksand. You're building it on variables you can't control and opinions that change like the weather. Your boss is in a bad mood and suddenly you feel incompetent. Your friend makes a passive-aggressive comment and you feel inadequate. Your partner seems a little distant and you feel unlovable. Your entire emotional state is being run by an unreliable audience that doesn't even know they're in charge. That's not living. That's being a puppet. So, how do we fix this? You need to audit your boardroom. Take a hard, honest look at everyone who has influence over your thoughts and your peace. And you start asking some tough questions. Has this person earned the right to influence me? Do they truly have my best interests at heart? Are they someone I admire for their wisdom and integrity? If the answer is no, they don't get a vote. Period. You don't have to be rude. You don't have to make a big announcement. You just quietly revoke their access. They can say whatever they want, but you simply stop letting it in. Let me give you a framework. The most peaceful and successful people have a very small, carefully curated board of advisors, 3 to 5 people, maximum. These are people who've earned your trust through consistency, wisdom, and genuine love. Their opinions are the ones that actually matter. Everyone else, they're not in the boardroom, they're in the lobby. You can be polite, but they don't get to influence the strategy. Your critical parent who's never supported you? Lobby. Your competitive coworker? Lobby. That random stranger on the internet? They're not even in the building. Now, when you start doing this, a few things will happen. First, you might feel a little guilty. You've been conditioned to think that everyone's opinion matters. That's just programming, not truth. Protecting your peace isn't arrogant, it's strategic. Second, you'll feel so much lighter. You're no longer carrying the weight of everyone's judgments and expectations. Third, you'll start making better decisions because you're aligning with your own values and the counsel of people you actually trust. And finally, you'll become unshakable. Your self-worth will no longer depend on winning an approval lottery. Imagine this. Someone criticizes your career choice. The old you would have spiraled. The new you thinks, this person isn't on my board. Opinion noted and dismissed. Someone questions your parenting. The old you would have spent hours defending yourself. The new you thinks, they aren't raising my kids, they don't get a vote. You're not being cold, you're being selective, and being selective is how you protect your peace. Your mental boardroom should be exclusive, invitation only. From this moment forward, you decide who sits at your table. You decide whose voices matter. Everyone else can have their opinions, but they can't have your peace. Thanks so much for watching. If this resonated with you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content on how to take back control of your life. Now that you've cleared out the boardroom, let's talk about the most powerful tool you have to prevent emotional hijacking before it even starts. In our next part, we'll dive into Chapter 3, the 10-second rule, create space between stimulus and response. Have you ever said something in the heat of the moment that you instantly regretted? Sent an angry text? Exploded at a coworker or a loved one? We all have. We live our lives on autopilot, reacting instantly to every little thing. Someone cuts you off in traffic, you honk and curse. Your boss criticizes your work, you get defensive. It's a non-stop cycle of trigger and reaction. And this is precisely how you lose control of your life. But what if I told you that the secret to changing your life isn't some grand gesture? It's not winning the lottery or getting a promotion. The moment your life truly changes is the moment you realize you can pause. A Holocaust survivor and psychiatrist, Viktor Frankl, put it perfectly. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. That space, that tiny gap, that's where your power lives. That's where you find peace. And today, I'm going to teach you how to create that space, deliberately and consistently, with something I call the 10-second rule. Here's how it works. The next time something or someone triggers you, an insult, a disappointment, a betrayal, your body will do what it always does. Your heart will start pounding. Your mind will scream at you to fight back, to defend yourself, to lash out. This is the critical moment. Instead of obeying that scream, you are going to do something radically different. You are going to pause for just 10 seconds. That's it, 10 seconds. And in those 10 seconds, you're going to do two simple things. First, you're going to breathe. A slow, controlled breath. In through your nose for a count of 4, hold for 4, and out through your mouth for 4. This isn't just some relaxation trick, this is a biological reset button. It sends a signal to your brain that you are not in immediate danger, allowing the rational part of your mind, the prefrontal cortex, to catch up with the emotional, primitive part, your amygdala. Second, while you're breathing, you're going to ask yourself one life-changing question. Is this worth my peace? Is this snide comment from a coworker worth surrendering your calm for the rest of the day? Is this traffic jam worth the spike in your blood pressure? Is this argument worth ruining an evening with someone you love? 9 times out of 10, the answer will be a resounding no. Let me paint a picture for you. You're in a big meeting. You've just presented an idea you've poured your heart into for weeks. Suddenly, a colleague starts tearing it apart. That'll never work. It's not realistic. Your face flushes, your jaw tightens. The old you would have jumped in, gotten defensive, and turned the meeting into a tense argument that helps no one. But the new you, the you that knows the 10-second rule, does something else. You feel the anger rise, but you don't act on it. You pause. You take that quiet 4-count breath. You ask yourself, is reacting to this worth my peace? And you realize it's not. So instead of reacting emotionally, you respond strategically. You might say, I appreciate that perspective. Let's schedule some time to walk through those concerns one-on-one. Do you see the difference? You didn't suppress your anger. You didn't pretend it wasn't there. You acknowledged the feeling, but you chose not to let it drive your actions. This is not about being fake or bottling things up. That's unhealthy. This is about managing your emotions so they don't manage you. Reacting is emotional and automatic. Responding is intentional and strategic. Reacting gives your power away. Responding keeps it right where it belongs, with you. This is what elite performers do. Navy SEALs use box breathing to stay calm under literal fire. Professional negotiators use tactical pauses to gain the upper hand. Great athletes use mental resets to shake off a bad play. They all understand a fundamental truth. The person who reacts impulsively loses. The person who responds thoughtfully wins. When you start practicing this, your life will transform. Your relationships will improve because you'll stop saying hurtful things you can't take back. Your career will advance because you'll be seen as composed, credible, and strategic, not impulsive and defensive. Most importantly, your mental health will stabilize because you'll stop letting every external event dictate your internal state. You'll become someone who can't be easily provoked or emotionally hijacked. People will notice. They'll wonder what your secret is. How do you stay so calm and grounded when chaos erupts around you? And you'll know the secret isn't that you're superhuman. It's that you have mastered 10 seconds. 10 seconds is the difference between an angry email you regret and a strategic message that gets results. 10 seconds is the difference between a person who loses their cool and a person who protects their peace. Your peace is the foundation of everything. Your happiness, your health, your success. Every time you react without that pause, you're letting someone else take a sledgehammer to that foundation. So I want you to make a commitment right now. The very next time you feel that trigger, that flash of anger or frustration, you will use the 10-second rule. Pause. Breathe. Ask the question. And watch as you take back control, one 10-second victory at a time. You will be astonished at how much power you've been giving away. The 10-second rule creates space between stimulus and response. And in that space, you become unshakable. But here's the truth. Pausing is just the beginning. Because once you stop reacting to everything, you need to decide what actually deserves your energy. And that brings us to the next critical principle. You've learned to pause. Now let's talk about what you cannot control and why trying to control it is destroying your peace. Chapter 4. Detach from outcomes you cannot control. Are you feeling like you're drowning? Not in water, but in outcomes you can't control. Outcomes that depend on other people, on circumstances completely outside your influence. Every single day, you're wearing yourself out trying to control the uncontrollable. You're trying to make people like you, respect you, choose you. You're trying to force your efforts to be recognized, your kindness to be returned, your loyalty to be rewarded. It's like trying to command the weather and the tides while your own ship is taking on water. But here's the secret. The moment you detach from outcomes you cannot control, you free yourself from a prison most people never even realize they're in. Let me paint you a picture. You give an incredible presentation at work. You prepared for weeks, delivered it flawlessly. You know in your gut it was fantastic. But you don't get the promotion. It goes to someone else. Maybe they had connections. Maybe it was office politics. Maybe the timing was just off. Now, you have two choices. Choice one, you take it personally. You decide that because you didn't get the promotion, your work wasn't good enough, your value isn't high enough. You start to spiral, lose motivation, and carry that sense of rejection into everything you do next. Or, choice two, you detach from the outcome. You acknowledge that you controlled your preparation, your delivery, and your effort. The promotion decision? That involved a dozen factors you couldn't control: budgets, biases, timing. You gave your absolute best, and that's where your power ended. The outcome wasn't yours to control, so you don't let it define you. One person is destroyed by circumstances. The other is untouchable. The difference? Detachment. The ancient Stoics understood this profoundly. They called it the dichotomy of control. Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor who faced war, betrayal, and plague, would remind himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." He controlled his thoughts, his actions, his character. He couldn't control the loyalty of his allies or the randomness of fate. And because he understood this, he remained calm while his world crumbled. You need to apply this exact framework to your life right now. You control your effort, your attitude, your integrity, your preparation, your responses, your boundaries, and your choices. What don't you control? Other people's reactions, their decisions, their opinions. You don't control recognition, timing, or external circumstances. When you pour your energy into trying to control what you can't, you guarantee two things: exhaustion and disappointment. But when you focus exclusively on what you can control and let go of the rest, you guarantee peace. Think about parenting. You give your child every advantage, model good values, have the hard conversations, set boundaries, and love them unconditionally. And still, they might make choices that hurt them. You can't control that outcome. You can control your parenting, your availability, your consistency. But if you make their choices a reflection of your worth as a parent, you will destroy yourself trying to force a result you were never meant to control. This applies powerfully to romantic relationships too. You love someone, you treat them well, you're loyal, honest, and present. You give your absolute best, and they leave, or they cheat, or they just don't feel the same way. You controlled your love, your integrity, your effort. You did not control theirs. If you internalize their choices as a reflection of your worth, you'll carry that wound forever, becoming guarded and bitter. But if you detach, if you recognize you gave what you could give and their response was never yours to control, you protect your ability to love fully in the future. Now let's be very clear about what detachment is not. It isn't apathy. It's not giving up or lowering your standards. Detachment is investing your full effort into what you can influence while maintaining emotional independence from results that depend on others. You give your absolute best presentation, but you don't control getting the promotion. You offer love and respect, but you don't control if it's returned. You set clear boundaries, but you don't control if people honor them. You create excellent work, but you don't control if it gets recognized. See the pattern? Maximum effort, zero attachment to outcomes you cannot control. This is the mindset of elite performers. An Olympic athlete controls their training and execution, not the judges' scores or their competitors' performance. If their self-worth is tied to the medal, they're fragile. If it's tied to their effort, they're unbreakable. A surgeon controls their skill and focus, not whether the patient ultimately survives. If they internalized every loss as a personal failure, they'd burn out. By focusing on doing their best within their control, they stay effective for decades. So here is your new operating system. Before every situation, ask yourself, what can I control here? Then pour all your energy, focus, and excellence into that. And for everything else, the outcomes, the responses, the results that depend on factors outside your influence, you release them. Not because you don't care, but because caring about things you cannot control is the fastest way to destroy your peace. You care deeply about your effort, your integrity, your character, but you release the outcome, apply for the job, and detach from whether you get it. Express your feelings and detach from whether they're returned. Do the right thing and detach from whether it's acknowledged. This isn't resignation, this is wisdom. This is understanding that your true power lies in your actions, not in controlling the consequences. When you finally embrace this, something incredible happens. You stop feeling betrayed by life because you no longer expect it to bend to your will. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstances because you're focused on what you can influence. You stop feeling anxious about the future because you're doing everything within your power and releasing the rest. You become someone who can lose without being destroyed, face rejection without internalizing it, and experience disappointment without spiraling. You've learned to pause, you've learned to be selective, now you've learned to detach. But detachment only works if you know yourself deeply, if you can see the patterns, the triggers, and the wounds before they sabotage you. Chapter 5. Build emotional insulation through self-awareness. Have you ever been ambushed by your own emotions? One moment you're fine, the next you're spiraling, angry, defensive, hurt, and you have no idea why. You blame the situation, the other person, the timing. But the real problem? A lack of self-awareness. You don't know your triggers, you don't recognize your patterns, and you don't see the warning signs until it's too late. That's why you keep getting emotionally hijacked. Same situation, same reactions, just a different day. Here's the truth. Most emotional disturbances happen because you don't see them coming. Self-awareness is your early warning system. It's the security camera on your emotional perimeter. It detects threats to your peace before they break through your defenses. And once you see them coming, you can intercept them. This is what I call building emotional insulation through self-awareness. Imagine your mind is a fortress, a secure, peaceful place where you make clear decisions and maintain your composure. Without self-awareness, you have no perimeter security. Threats just walk right in. Criticism walks in. Rejection walks in. Old wounds walk in. And by the time you notice, they're already inside, wreaking havoc on your emotional state. But with self-awareness, you have cameras everywhere. You notice when irritation is building before it becomes rage. You catch yourself when old insecurities are being triggered before they take over. You recognize when someone's words are starting to loop in your mind before they consume your entire day. You see the threat early, and you intervene. Let's look at this practically. Say you have a difficult conversation with your boss. They give you critical feedback, not mean, just critical. A person without self-awareness reacts immediately. They get defensive, they make excuses. They internalize the criticism as a personal attack and carry it home with them. They can't sleep. They replay it 50 times. But a person with self-awareness notices what's happening in real time. They feel their body tense up. They notice their mind starting to craft defensive responses. They recognize this feeling. It's the same one they had as a child when a parent criticized them. Ah, there it is. That's the trigger. And because they see it, they can manage it. They can think, this criticism feels like a personal attack because it's activating my childhood wound around not being good enough. But my boss isn't my parent. This is professional feedback, not a judgment on my worth. I can receive this information without spiraling. Same situation, completely different outcome. The difference is self-awareness. Let me give you 3 diagnostic questions you need to ask yourself daily. Not weekly, not when you're already in a crisis. Daily. Question 1. What stole my peace today? Be specific. Don't just say work. Identify the exact moment. My co-worker dismissed my idea in the meeting. My partner seemed distant this morning. Name it, because you can't manage what you don't acknowledge. Question 2. Why did I give it that power? This is where the real work happens. Why did that specific thing disturb your peace? My co-worker dismissed my idea, and it triggered my fear that I'm not competent. My partner seemed distant, and it triggered my anxiety that I'm not enough. You're not just identifying what happened, you're identifying why it mattered to you. Question 3. What pattern am I repeating? This is the most important question, and the one most people never ask. If you keep getting disturbed by the same type of situation, it's not bad luck. It's a pattern. And patterns reveal wounds. Every time someone questions your competence, you spiral. That's a pattern. Every time someone seems distant, you panic. That's a pattern. And once you see the pattern, you can interrupt it. I knew a man, very successful, in his 40s, but every time his father criticized him, he reverted to a 12-year-old boy seeking approval. His father would make a comment about his career, and this accomplished man would spend the next week trying to justify himself, trying to earn validation. This went on for years, until he developed self-awareness. He started asking the questions. What stole my peace? My father's comment. Why did I give it power? Because I still need his approval to feel valuable. What pattern am I repeating? Every time he criticizes me, I become a child again. Once he saw the pattern, he could interrupt it. The next time his father made a critical comment, he felt that familiar pull, the urge to defend himself. But this time, he noticed it. He saw it happening in real time. And he made a different choice. He just said, I hear you, Dad. I'm comfortable with my decisions. That's it. No defense, no justification, no regression to childhood. Self-awareness gave him the power to choose a different response. So, how do you actually build this awareness? Here are 3 non-negotiable practices if you want to become unshakable. Practice 1. Journaling. Just 5 minutes every evening. Ask yourself those 3 questions. What stole my peace today? Why did I give it that power? What pattern am I repeating? You're not writing a novel. You're collecting data about yourself. Your triggers, your weak points, your patterns. Over time, that data becomes predictive. You start seeing situations coming before they hit you. Practice 2. Meditation or silent reflection. 10 minutes every morning. Just sit with yourself. No phone, no distractions. Most people are terrified of this because when you sit in silence, everything you've been avoiding comes to the surface. Good. Let it come. Observe it. Don't judge it. Just notice it. I'm anxious about the meeting today. Why? Because I'm afraid of being judged. Why does judgment threaten me? Because I haven't separated my performance from my worth. You're not solving problems here. You're becoming aware of them, and awareness is half the solution. Practice 3. Body awareness. Your body knows you're triggered before your mind does. Learn to read its signals. Is your jaw clenching? That's anger building. Is your chest tightening? That's anxiety rising. Is your stomach dropping? That's fear activating. When you learn to read your body, you get an advance warning. You feel the emotion building, and you can address it before it takes over. When you commit to these practices, you stop being surprised by your reactions because you see them coming. You stop repeating the same mistakes because you recognize the patterns. You stop letting old wounds run your present life because you identify and heal them. You become someone who knows themselves so deeply that emotional ambushes become impossible. Not because nothing bothers you, but because you see everything clearly. Self-awareness isn't a destination. It's a daily practice. A commitment to knowing yourself better today than you did yesterday. The more you know yourself, the less power external circumstances have over you. You learn to pause. You learn to detach. You learn to see yourself clearly. Now that you've learned how to build your emotional insulation, let's talk about the exhausting habit that's draining your energy and destroying your credibility. Chapter 6. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter. You're on trial, every day, multiple times a day, and you don't even realize it. You make a decision, and suddenly, you're in a courtroom, explaining, justifying, defending. Why did you choose that career path? Why aren't you drinking tonight? Why are you still single? Why did you leave that perfectly good job? And what do? You explain. You give a detailed account complete with evidence and logical reasoning. You present your case to judges who have already made their decision. To people who ask the question, not to understand you, but to criticize you. And here's the hard truth. Every single minute you spend justifying your choices to people who do not matter is a minute stolen from your purpose, your peace, and your progress. It's time to stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter. Let me paint a picture for you. You're at a party, a social gathering. Someone offers you a drink. You say, "No, thank you." A simple, complete sentence. But they don't accept it. Come on, why not? Just one. Are you on some new health kick? Are you pregnant? You used to be fun. What changed? And just like that, you're trapped. You feel this immense pressure to explain yourself. Well, I've been focusing on my health, and I just feel better without it, and I have an early morning tomorrow, plus I'm trying to save a little money. You're giving a full-blown dissertation on your personal choices to someone you barely know. Someone who, in 5 minutes, will have completely forgotten this conversation. But you'll replay it in your head later. You'll wonder if you explained it well enough. You'll worry about what they think of you now. You've just surrendered your peace of mind to someone who has no business being in your decision-making process. Listen closely. You have to stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter. Here's the secret about truly confident people. They communicate their decisions clearly, maybe once, maybe twice, and then they move forward, completely regardless of whether they get approval or not. I'm not drinking tonight. Why not? Because I don't want to. That's it. That's the end of the conversation. No elaborate explanation, no lengthy justification, no apology. And you know what happens next? The other person either accepts it and moves on, or they reveal themselves as someone who doesn't respect boundaries. Either way, you win, because you didn't exhaust your energy performing for an audience that doesn't matter. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter. Insecure people get trapped in these endless loops of justification. They crave permission. They need validation. They need everyone around them to understand and approve of their every move. So, what do? They explain their career changes to acquaintances who have never built anything of their own. They justify their relationship choices to family members who are in deeply unhealthy relationships themselves. They defend their parenting decisions to people who don't even have children. It's exhausting. And frankly, it's pointless. Because here's the fundamental truth you need to internalize. People who respect you don't need elaborate explanations. And the people who don't respect you won't accept any explanation you give, no matter how perfect it is. Think about your real friends. Hey, I'm not drinking tonight. Cool, you want a soda instead? Now, think about your toxic acquaintances. I'm not drinking tonight. Why not? What's wrong with you? You're so uptight now. Do you see the difference? One person respects your autonomy. The other person challenges it. And that second person, they don't deserve an explanation. They deserve nothing. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter. Let's take this into the workplace. You set a boundary. I don't check my emails after 6 p.m. A completely reasonable boundary to protect your personal time and prevent burnout. But a coworker pushes back. Really, that seems a bit extreme. What if something urgent comes up? Everyone else is available. Don't you care about the team? Now, you have two choices. Choice 1. You explain. Well, I've been dealing with a lot of stress lately, and my therapist suggested setting better boundaries, and I need to spend time with my family, and studies show that constant connectivity actually reduces productivity in the long run, and you're literally defending your basic right to have a personal life to someone who is trying to guilt you into abandoning your own well-being. Or choice 2. I've made my decision. If something is truly urgent, I can be reached by phone. Done. No justification, no elaborate defense, just a clear statement with a simple contingency for genuine emergencies. One of these responses invites an endless debate. The other one ends the conversation. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter. So what happens when you actually stop explaining? Well, first, people will be surprised. They might even be a little shocked. Because you've trained them to expect a justification from you. You've established a pattern where your decisions require their approval. Breaking that pattern is going to feel uncomfortable. For both of you, they'll probably push harder. But why? I just want to understand. No, they don't. If they truly wanted to understand, they would have accepted your first answer. What they want is to change your mind. They want you to doubt yourself. They want control. Stand firm. Second, you'll probably feel a little guilty. You've been conditioned your whole life to believe that everyone deserves an explanation. That setting a boundary without justifying it is rude. That's not the truth. That's social programming. You are not rude for protecting your peace. You are not arrogant for declining to defend yourself. You are not obligated to perform for an audience that contributes nothing to your life. And third, you will finally discover who actually respects you, because the people who matter will accept your decisions without requiring a dissertation. And the people who don't matter will reveal themselves by demanding explanations they have no right to. This process is incredibly clarifying. It might be painful at times, but it is clarifying. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter. Let me be very specific about who doesn't deserve an explanation from you. People who have never supported you but suddenly have strong opinions about your choices. People who consistently disrespect your boundaries but then demand you justify those boundaries. People who use your explanations as ammunition to criticize you even further. People who ask questions not to understand, but to judge. And people who have clearly demonstrated that they do not have your best interests at heart. Acquaintances, strangers on the internet, judgmental relatives, competitive co-workers, toxic ex-partners. None of these people have earned access to your internal decision-making process. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter. Now, let me be clear about what I am not saying. I'm not saying you should become dismissive of everyone. I'm not saying you should refuse all accountability. I'm definitely not saying that healthy relationships don't involve open communication. The people who truly matter, your close friends, your partner, your trusted mentors, they deserve context. They deserve communication. They deserve to understand your reasoning, especially when your decisions affect them. But there is a world of difference between explaining and defending. You explain to people you trust, "Hey, I'm thinking about changing careers because I've discovered a new passion for teaching, and I think it aligns better with my core values." You defend to people who don't matter. "I'm changing careers and I know it probably seems crazy, but I've really thought about it and I promise it's not a mistake and I understand all your concerns, but..." One is communication. The other is groveling for approval. Stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter. Here is your new operating system. When you make a decision, communicate it clearly one time. If someone who genuinely matters to you doesn't understand, provide a little more context once more. After that, you're done. No third explanation, no defense, no justification. Your life does not require a defense attorney. Your boundaries do not require a committee's approval. Your personal standards do not require external validation. When you start living your life aligned with your own values, the opinions of those outside your inner circle become nothing more than background noise. You might still hear it, but it's irrelevant. So, stop explaining yourself to people who don't matter. You've learned to stop justifying yourself. Now let's talk about the strategic skill that prevents you from wasting energy on battles that were never worth fighting in the first place. Get ready for Chapter 7, Master the Art of Selective Engagement. Do you ever feel completely exhausted? Drained, not from hard work, but from endless, pointless arguments? You react to every comment, defend against every criticism, and jump into every debate. You treat every conflict like it's a life or death situation. And then you wonder why you have no energy left for what truly matters. It's because you're fighting battles that don't matter, with people who don't matter, over outcomes that don't matter. You're spending premium energy on discount situations. This is how you lose the war while winning meaningless skirmishes. But what if I told you there's a way to reclaim your energy, your peace, and your power? It's called selective engagement. It's the art of consciously choosing which conflicts deserve your attention and which ones you let die from your indifference. And today, I'm going to give you a framework that will completely change how you handle conflict. Imagine you're the best chess player in the world. Every single day, random people challenge you to a game. Some are decent players, but most are total amateurs. Some are kids who barely know the rules. If you accepted every single challenge, what would happen? You'd waste your time, you'd exhaust your mental energy, and you'd gain nothing from beating people far below your level. And when a real grandmaster, a worthy opponent, finally shows up, you'd have nothing left in the tank. The smart move is to be selective. You only play games that challenge you, teach you something, or help you achieve your goals. Everyone else, you politely decline, or you simply don't respond. This is exactly how you need to approach conflict in your life. Think about it. Your coworker tries to pull you into the latest office drama. That's not a chess match. That's someone trying to drag you down into the mud with them. Don't engage. A family member wants to rehash an argument from 20 years ago. That's not a productive conversation. That's someone trying to relive their old grievances. Don't engage. A stranger on social media insults your opinion and is determined to prove you wrong. That's not a debate. That's someone seeking validation by starting a fight. Don't engage. Do you see the pattern? When someone baits you into drama, gossip, or a pointless argument, they're basically saying, "Come down to my level so I can beat you with experience." The most powerful move you can make is to recognize the trap and refuse to step into it. So how do you decide when to engage and when to walk away? Before you jump into any conflict, I want you to pause and ask yourself 3 simple questions. Question 1. Will this matter in 5 years? Seriously, that person who just cut you off in traffic, the passive-aggressive comment someone made at a party, the ignorant thing someone posted online. Will any of it matter in 5 years, 5 months, or even 5 days? Probably not. These are temporary annoyances that your ego desperately wants to address. But your long-term peace says, let it go. Question 2. Will engaging actually improve the situation, or will it just satisfy my ego? Be brutally honest with yourself here. Most of the time, we don't argue to find a resolution. We argue because our pride is on the line. Think about that political debate with your uncle at Thanksgiving. Is arguing with him going to change his deeply held beliefs? No. Is it going to create tension and ruin the family dinner? Absolutely. So what's the real reason you want to engage? Your ego wants to be right. It wants to win. It wants everyone to see how smart you are. But your inner peace doesn't need any of that. Your peace is far more valuable than the temporary satisfaction of winning an argument. And this brings us to the third and most important question. Is this person open to understanding, or are they committed to conflict? This is the game changer. Some people genuinely engage in conflict to find a resolution. They're open to different perspectives, they want to understand where you're coming from, and they're capable of changing their minds. These are the people worth engaging with, because the conversation can actually lead somewhere productive. But let's be real. Most people who start fights aren't looking for a solution. They're just looking for a fight. They've already decided you're wrong, and nothing you say will change that. You cannot reason with someone who is emotionally committed to misunderstanding you. Engaging with them is like playing chess with a pigeon. It'll just knock over the pieces, make a mess on the board, and strut around like it won anyway. Let's put this into practice. Imagine you post something online that you're proud of. A few minutes later, someone you barely know leaves a long, aggressive comment. It's condescending, it misrepresents your point, and it's clearly designed to provoke you. What's your first instinct? To fight back, right? To correct them, defend yourself, and point out every single one of their logical fallacies. You want to show everyone reading that you're right and they're wrong. But wait, let's use our framework. Will this matter in 5 years? No. Will engaging satisfy my ego or improve the situation? Just my ego. Is this person open to understanding? Looking at their aggressive tone, absolutely not. So what do? The most powerful thing you can do is nothing. You don't reply, you don't defend, you don't engage. And a funny thing happens. The comment just sits there, unanswered, and it loses all its power. Conflict needs participation. Drama needs fuel. Arguments require 2 people. When you refuse to play, the fire goes out on its own. Here's another scenario. You're in a work meeting, and a colleague publicly criticizes your project. Their criticism is unfair, inaccurate, and you can feel everyone's eyes on you, waiting to see how you'll react. The old you would have gotten defensive immediately, starting a point-by-point rebuttal and escalating the tension in the room. But the new you practices selective engagement. You take a breath, look at them calmly and say, "I appreciate you sharing your perspective. Let's set up a time to discuss your specific concerns after this meeting." Boom, you've acknowledged them without starting a public battle. You've kept your composure, and you've moved the conflict to a private setting where it can be handled constructively. If their concerns are valid, you can address them privately. And if they were just posturing for an audience, their argument will die a quiet death when there's no one to perform for. Either way, you controlled the situation on your terms. The most powerful weapon in your selective engagement arsenal is strategic silence. Silence isn't weakness. It's not avoidance. It is a deliberate, powerful choice to withhold your precious energy from people and situations that don't deserve it. When someone insults you, expecting a reaction, and you give them nothing, no defense, no comeback, just calm silence, that silence is louder and more powerful than any words you could say. It communicates a profound message. You are not important enough to disturb my peace. When someone tries to pull you into gossip, you simply say, "I don't really know anything about that." Conversation over. You've refused to participate without being judgmental. You've recognized the trap and calmly sidestepped it. When you start living this way, 4 incredible things happen. First, you reclaim massive amounts of your time and energy. You're no longer wasting your days fighting battles that don't move your life forward. Second, people start to test you less. They learn that you don't take the bait, that you're not an easy target for their drama. Third, when you do decide to speak up and engage, your words carry immense weight. People listen because they know you don't waste your voice on trivial matters. And finally, you become unshakable. You've trained your mind to distinguish between real threats that require action and meaningless noise that requires nothing but your indifference. So here's your mission, should you choose to accept it. For the next 7 days, I challenge you to practice selective engagement. Before you respond to any conflict, any provocation, any bait, pause. Ask yourself the 3 questions. Will this matter in 5 years? Is this for my ego or for a resolution? Is this person open to understanding? If the answers tell you not to engage, practice strategic silence or give a minimal neutral response. Just watch what happens. Watch how much peace you protect and how much energy you save. Remember, not every battle deserves your presence. In fact, most don't. You've learned when to engage. Now let's talk about the lines you must draw to protect everything you've built. Chapter 8. Create non-negotiable boundaries around your energy. Do you ever feel like your energy is being stolen? Every single day, by people who don't deserve it, in ways you don't even notice? That text at 11 p.m. from someone who just needs to vent. A coworker who turns your lunch break into their personal therapy session. A family member who only calls when they need something, but vanishes when you do. A friend who only shows up when there's drama to discuss. And you allow it. You let it happen because you haven't built strong boundaries. Or maybe you've built them, but they're so weak that anyone with a little persistence can just bulldoze right through them. Here's the truth you need to hear today. Boundaries are not suggestions. They are not negotiable, and they absolutely do not require the other person's agreement to be valid. Boundaries are unilateral decisions you make about what you will and will not tolerate in your space, your presence, and your life. It's time to create non-negotiable boundaries around your energy. Think of your energy as valuable property. You own it. You control who gets access to it. Just like with physical property, you decide who enters and under what conditions. But most of us don't treat our energy this way. We treat it like it's public property. No fence, no gate, no rules. Anyone can access it anytime. Someone needs a favor? Come on in. Someone wants to complain? The door's always open. Someone wants to dump all their emotional baggage on you? Help yourself. And then we wonder why we're so exhausted, why we feel constantly drained, why we have nothing left for ourselves. It's because we've allowed unlimited access to a finite, precious resource. So, what does a real boundary actually look like? It's not a request, it's a statement of fact. For example, I don't discuss my personal life at work. I don't respond to work messages after 7 p.m. I don't participate in gossip. I don't lend money to family. I need 2 days' notice before making plans. I don't accept calls during my morning routine. Do you see the difference? It's not, I'd prefer if you didn't call after 8. It's, I don't answer calls after 8. One leaves room for negotiation, the other doesn't. Now, this is where most people fail with boundaries. They set them apologetically, enforce them inconsistently, and abandon them completely when they're met with resistance. They say things like, "I'm so sorry, but I really can't talk right now. I hope you understand. I feel so bad." But stop apologizing for protecting your peace. Boundaries don't require apologies, they require clarity. "I can't talk right now. Let's connect tomorrow." That's it. No apology, no guilt, no long explanation. Or they'll set a boundary on Monday like, "I don't work on weekends," but then their boss texts them on Saturday, and they reply immediately because they don't want to seem difficult. You've just taught your boss that your boundary is fake. You've shown them that if they push hard enough, you'll fold. Let me tell you a real story. A woman I know had a friend who would only call when she had a problem. Never to celebrate a win, never just to check in. Only when her life was falling apart and she needed someone to unload on. And every single time it was the same story. 2-hour phone calls, dramatic sagas, and pure emotional dumping. And then, silence until the next crisis. For years, this woman answered every call. Because that's what good friends do, right? You show up, you support, you help. But she was becoming resentful, exhausted. She felt used. Because this wasn't a friendship, it was a one-sided emotional service arrangement. Finally, she set a boundary. She said, "I care about you, but I can't be your crisis hotline anymore. I'm happy to talk, but I need our conversations to be balanced and reciprocal." And you know what happened? The friend got angry, defensive. I thought you cared about me. I thought I could count on you. You're being so selfish. This is the moment where most people give in. They feel guilty, they apologize, they abandon the boundary. But this woman held firm. She said, I do care about you, and I am not available for 3-hour crisis calls anymore. The friend didn't speak to her for 6 months. And you know what? That was the boundary working, because anyone who only values you for what you provide will disappear when you stop providing it. And that's exactly how you find out who truly respects you. Research actually backs this up. Studies show that individuals with clear, consistent boundaries report 60% less anxiety and have dramatically healthier relationships. 60%. That's huge. Because when you have boundaries, you aren't constantly agonizing over whether to say yes or no. You're not carrying resentment because you agreed to something you didn't want to do. You have a framework, and that framework makes the decisions for you. I don't work weekends means exactly that. Every single time. I don't discuss my relationship at work means with everyone, not just most people. The moment you introduce exceptions, you don't have a boundary. You have a suggestion that people will just try to negotiate around. So how do you set boundaries that actually stick? Step 1. Identify where your energy is being drained. Be specific. Is it the late-night calls, unsolicited advice, people showing up unannounced? Name it. Step 2. Decide on the boundary. What is the clear, non-negotiable line? Not, I want to work less on weekends, that's a wish. It's, I don't work on Saturdays, I'm available for genuine emergencies only. That's a boundary. Step 3. Communicate it clearly, once. Moving forward, I won't be available for calls after 9 p.m. If you need to reach me urgently, send a text and I'll respond the next morning. You're not asking for permission, you're stating a fact. Step 4. Enforce it. Every single time. This is the most crucial part. Someone calls at 10 p.m. Don't answer. Let it go to voicemail. Respond the next morning. Hey, saw you called last night. I don't take calls after 9. What's up? You've just reinforced that you meant what you said. Now, let's talk about the guilt. Because you will feel guilty, especially at first. You'll feel like you're being mean, selfish, or difficult. That's not the truth. That's conditioning. You've been conditioned to believe that your needs come last, and that saying no makes you a bad person. But the real truth, boundaries are the kindest thing you can do for your relationships. Because without them, you build resentment. You say yes when you mean no. You show up when you don't want to. And eventually you either explode or you ghost people. Boundaries prevent that. They create clarity and protect the relationship by protecting you. When you violate your own boundaries to keep others comfortable, you teach them that your limits are negotiable. And that's exactly how resentment builds and your peace dies. Here is what happens when you finally start creating and enforcing these boundaries. You stop feeling drained by people who used to exhaust you. They either respect the boundary or they exit your life. You stop resenting the people you love because you're no longer overextending yourself. You reclaim hours of your day. And you become someone people respect because you've demonstrated that you value yourself enough to protect your energy. Your energy is not public property. It is not a community resource. It is yours. Guard it. Protect it. Be ruthlessly selective about who gets access. Set the boundary. Communicate it clearly once and enforce it without emotion or over-explaining. Watch how your life transforms when you stop allowing unlimited access to your most precious resource. Create non-negotiable boundaries around your energy. You've built the boundaries. Now let's talk about what you must stop feeding and what you must start feeding if you want those boundaries to actually hold. Chapter 9. Starve drama, feed peace. Drama is a living thing. It breathes, it grows, it multiplies, and it survives on one thing: your attention. Every time you react to it, you feed it. Every time you engage with it, you give it oxygen. Every time you talk about it, you give it life. And the more you feed it, the bigger it gets, until it consumes your relationships, your energy, and your peace. Here's what you need to understand. Drama doesn't exist in a vacuum. It requires participants. It needs an audience. It demands engagement. And the moment you stop feeding it, it dies. So, starve the drama and feed your peace. Let me show you exactly how this works. Think of drama as a fire. It starts with a tiny spark, a comment, a conflict, a piece of gossip. If you ignore that spark, it burns out. No fuel, no fire. But what if you engage? What if you react emotionally, defend yourself, or tell other people about it? You've just thrown logs on the fire, and now it's raging. That little spark, that dramatic text, becomes a 3-hour argument. A small disagreement becomes a weeks-long feud. A minor misunderstanding becomes a relationship-ending crisis. Not because the original spark was that big, but because you kept feeding it. Let's look at this in real life. Someone sends you a passive-aggressive text. I guess some people are just too busy for their friends now. That's bait. It's a spark. You have 2 choices. Choice 1. You take the bait. You reply, "What's that supposed to mean? I've been really busy." Now you're in it. The drama has been fed. They respond defensively, you respond defensively, and hours are wasted. Your peace is gone. Choice 2. You starve it. You either don't respond at all, or you reply with neutrality like, "Let's catch up soon." No defense. No escalation. No fuel for the fire. And guess what happens? The drama dies. It can't sustain itself without your participation. Here's another example. You're at work, and 2 co-workers are gossiping. They try to pull you in. Can you believe what she did? This is drama looking for a new participant. Again, 2 choices. You could join in, add your perspective, and become part of the gossip circle. Now you're entangled, spending mental energy on a conflict that has nothing to do with you. Or, you starve it. You say, "I don't really know anything about that. Excuse me." You've removed yourself. Without your participation, the conversation either dies or continues without you, which is exactly what you want. Now, let me be very clear. Starving drama doesn't mean you avoid all conflict or never address issues. There's a massive difference between productive conflict and drama. Productive conflict resolves problems. Drama perpetuates them. Productive conflict is direct. Drama is manipulative. Productive conflict seeks solutions. Drama seeks attention. If someone brings a legitimate concern to you directly and respectfully, intending to resolve it, that's not drama. That's communication. Engage with it. But if someone is creating chaos, seeking attention, and pulling you into their cycle of dysfunction, that's drama. Starve it. So how do you spot these drama people? They always have a crisis. Every week there's a new catastrophe, a new betrayal, a new injustice. They thrive on chaos. When things are calm, they create problems. They also seek an audience. They don't just experience drama, they broadcast it. They need everyone to know what they're going through, looking for validation and sympathy. And crucially, they're never accountable. It's always someone else's fault. They are always the victim. If someone has been in conflict with every job, every friend, and every partner they've ever had, they're not just unlucky. They are the common denominator. These people are drama organisms, and they will drain you completely if you let them. So, here's what you do when you encounter them. You don't engage emotionally. When they tell you about their latest crisis, don't get pulled into the intensity. Just say, "That sounds difficult. I hope it works out." That's it. Acknowledgement without engagement. You don't offer solutions because they don't want solutions. They want attention. You also don't participate in their narrative. They want you to agree they're the victim and villainize the other person. Don't do it. Just say, "I don't know enough to comment." You've just refused to feed the organism. Finally, limit your exposure. You don't have to cut them off completely, but drastically reduce the time and energy you invest. Short conversations, surface-level interactions. The moment you give deep emotional availability to a drama person, they will consume every ounce of it and ask for more. But starving drama is only half the battle. It's not enough to just starve the drama. You must simultaneously feed your peace. Because your attention is like fertilizer. Whatever you consistently focus on will grow in your life. If you focus on conflict, gossip, and chaos, that's what expands. If you focus on growth, gratitude, and calm, that's what expands. So while you're starving the drama, you need to actively feed peace. How? Invest in relationships that restore you, not drain you. Spend time with the friend who listens without judgment or the partner who brings calm instead of chaos. Prioritize these relationships. Create environments that support peace. Maybe it's a morning routine that grounds you, a calm and organized space in your home, or just time spent in nature. Identify what brings you peace and make it non-negotiable. Also, be mindful of the content you consume. Read books that expand your mind, listen to conversations that challenge you, and engage with art that moves you. Stop scrolling through outrage and watching content designed to make you angry. Practice gratitude. Every day, intentionally focus on what's working instead of what's broken. This isn't about ignoring problems. It's about refusing to let problems be the only thing you see. Name 3 things you're grateful for every single day. That's feeding peace. And finally, engage in activities that restore your energy. Whether it's exercise, meditation, creative work, or deep conversations, make time for whatever fills your tank instead of emptying it. When you start implementing this, something amazing happens. First, drama people will start avoiding you. You're no longer a reliable source of attention. You're not fun for them anymore. Good. Let them find someone else. Second, peaceful people will start gravitating toward you. Like attracts like. When you embody peace, you attract others who value it. Third, your baseline emotional state stabilizes. You're not constantly being yanked around by other people's dysfunction. You're grounded, centered, and calm. And fourth, you suddenly have all this energy for things that actually matter because you're not wasting it on drama that goes nowhere. Your attention is fertilizer. Whatever you feed will grow. Drama or peace, chaos or calm, you choose. Every single day, with every interaction, you decide where you invest your energy. Stop throwing logs on fires that don't serve you. Stop participating in cycles of dysfunction. Start feeding what you actually want in your life. Starve the drama and feed your peace. You've learned to starve what destroys you and feed what sustains you. Now, let's talk about the ultimate truth that determines whether everything you've learned actually works. See you in the next one. Now we're diving into a truth that, once you truly grasp it, will change absolutely everything. We often think our outer world, all the chaos and stress, is what's making us feel a mess inside. But what if I told you it's the other way around? Your inner chaos is what's creating your messy outer experience. Let's really let that sink in. The reason you feel constantly attacked isn't because the world is out to get you. It's because your inner world is already hostile, defensive, and ready for a fight. The reason you feel unsupported isn't that no one cares. It's because your inner world is built on a foundation of scarcity and feeling unworthy. That overwhelming feeling? It's not because life is uniquely hard for you, it's because your inner world lacks structure, boundaries, and discipline. Think of it like this. Everything you experience, every conversation, every email, every interaction, is filtered through your internal state. When your inner world is chaotic, even a neutral comment can feel like a personal attack. But when your inner world is peaceful, even genuinely difficult situations become manageable. Your inner world literally determines your outer experience. Let me give you a clear example. Imagine two people at work receive the exact same piece of criticism. Same words, same tone, everything is identical. Person one hears it as an attack. Their mind starts racing. They think I'm incompetent, I'm going to get fired, I'm a failure. They spiral into anxiety, lose sleep, and become defensive with everyone. The criticism completely consumes them. Now, person two hears the very same words, but they perceive it as feedback. Their inner dialogue is different. Interesting. There's something here I can improve. Let me get some clarity on this and fix it. They learn, they grow, and they move on. For them, the criticism was just a data point, not a full-blown identity crisis. What was the difference? It wasn't the external event, the difference was the inner world that processed it. Think about someone living with constant anxiety. Their inner world is unstable, fearful, always bracing for the next disaster. So what happens? Every email seems threatening. Every quiet moment feels like rejection. They aren't living in objective reality. They are living in a reality filtered through their anxiety. Now picture someone who has intentionally built an inner world of calm and confidence. They have the same job, the same relationships, the same daily grind. But an email is just information. A conversation is just communication. Silence is just silence. Same circumstances, but a completely different, more peaceful experience. It's not the situation itself, it's the inner fortress they've built. A person at peace can sit in a room full of chaos and remain centered. Their inner world is so solid that the turbulence outside can't break through. Conversely, a person in turmoil can be in a room full of supportive people and still feel attacked, because their inner world is so fragile that even kindness can feel threatening. Let's make this even more practical. You go to a party, and someone you know greets you politely but seems a bit distant. If your inner world is insecure, you immediately make it about you. They don't like me. I must have done something wrong. You spend the rest of the night anxious, replaying the interaction over and over, but if your inner world is secure, you probably wouldn't even register it as a big deal. You might think, they seem tired or distracted. Hope they're okay. And then you move on and enjoy your night. You don't carry it with you. Same situation, different inner world, totally different experience. Here's another one. Your partner comes home and is unusually quiet. If your inner world is anxious, you jump to conclusions. They're mad at me. Our relationship is in trouble. You start questioning them, creating tension where there was none, turning their bad day into a relationship crisis. But if your inner world is calm and secure, you give them space. You might say, "Rough day," and offer support without personalizing their mood. You don't make it about you. Same behavior from them, but a completely different outcome because your inner world is different. This is why quick fixes and simple strategies often fail. You can learn to set boundaries, but if your inner world is weak, you'll let people cross them under pressure. You can try to avoid drama, but if your inner world secretly thrives on chaos, you'll find ways to recreate it. The techniques are useless without a solid foundation. So how do you build this unshakable inner world? First, you have to audit your internal narratives. These are the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what the world is like. Do you believe people always let me down? That story guarantees you'll find disappointment everywhere. Do you think I have to constantly prove my worth? That story guarantees you'll burn yourself out seeking validation. These narratives are the filter through which you see everything. Change the narrative, and you change your experience. Next, you have to practice self-regulation. This means building the skill to manage your emotional state no matter what's happening around you. This is what tools like meditation, breathwork, exercise, and journaling are for. They aren't luxuries. They are the essential tools for building internal stability. You also have to cultivate self-worth that isn't dependent on what others think. Your value doesn't go up when someone praises you or down when someone criticizes you. It's stable, internal, and non-negotiable. When your worth is rooted inside you, external events are just events, not referendums on your value. And finally, you create your own internal standards and you live by them. Not the world's standards, not anyone else's, but yours. Things like, I show up on time. I keep my word. I treat people with respect. When you live by your own code, external chaos can't destabilize you. When you finally build this foundation, everything changes. You stop being a victim of your circumstances because you realize you're experiencing everything through your inner world, a world that you have the power to build. You stop needing the world to change for you to feel at peace because you understand that peace is an inside job. You stop being emotionally tossed around by every little thing because your internal state is grounded and fortified. You become the person who walks into chaos and brings calm, who faces criticism without crumbling, who experiences disappointment without spiraling into despair. Not because nothing bothers you, but because your inner fortress is so solid that nothing external can breach it. This is the ultimate lesson. You can't control what other people do or say. You can't control circumstances or outcomes. You can only control your inner world. And when you master that, when you build stability, peace, and sovereignty inside yourself, you stop being a puppet of external events. You become the calm in the storm. Think about everything we've discussed on this channel: taking responsibility, setting boundaries, protecting your energy. All of it leads back to this single, powerful truth. Your inner world determines your outer experience. So it's time to build that inner world strong. Build it intentionally. Build it like your life depends on it, because in so many ways it does. When your inner world is solid, the outer world loses its power to disturb you. When your inner world is peaceful, you stop letting people disturb your peace. Your inner world determines your outer experience. This is where transformation happens. Not in changing circumstances, not in controlling people, not in waiting for the world to become easier, but in building an inner fortress so unshakable that nothing external can penetrate it. You have everything you need, every tool, every principle, every strategy. Now it's time to build. Your peace is waiting for you to claim it. So, you just finished reading the book, binged the podcast series, or maybe you've spent hours watching videos, absorbing chapter after chapter on how to reclaim your inner peace. You've nodded along, highlighted passages and thought, yes, this makes so much sense. But let me be incredibly direct with you for a moment. All of that knowledge, all of those insights, all of that time spent learning, it means absolutely nothing if you close this video, put the book back on the shelf, and go right back to your old ways. If you do that, nothing will change. Your peace will continue to be a hostage, easily taken by anyone who knows exactly which buttons to push to get a reaction out of you. Your well-being will remain at the mercy of your boss's mood, a critical comment from a family member, or the endless scroll of social media negativity. You'll keep giving away your power, letting external chaos dictate your internal state. You'll stay stuck in that frustrating cycle of knowing what to do, but never actually doing it. And that gap between what you know and what you do is where resentment, frustration, and a sense of powerlessness live and thrive. It's a terrible place to be, and you don't deserve to live there. But what if you did something different this time? What if, right now, you decided that this is the moment everything changes? You don't need to overhaul your entire life by tomorrow morning. You don't need to perfectly implement all 10 principles you just learned. That's overwhelming and unrealistic. Instead, I want you to choose just one single tool from that entire arsenal of wisdom you've gathered. Maybe the one that sticks with you is the 10-second rule. The idea that before you react to something that triggers you, you simply pause. You take a deep breath. Inhale for 4, hold for 2, exhale for 4, and you give yourself just 10 seconds of space. 10 seconds between the stimulus and your response. In that tiny sliver of time, you can go from being a puppet on a string, reacting automatically, to being the one in control, choosing your response deliberately. Imagine the next time someone says something that would normally set you off. Instead of instantly firing back with a defensive or angry reply, you just pause, you breathe, you create that space. That's not weakness, that's profound strength. That's you taking back the remote control of your own emotions. Or maybe the principle that resonates with you is about setting firm, non-negotiable boundaries. Perhaps you've been a yes person your whole life, sacrificing your own energy and peace to please others. Today is the day you decide on one boundary that is sacred. It could be as simple as, I will not check work emails after 7 p.m., or I will not engage in gossip, or I will not allow people to speak to me in a disrespectful tone. It's not about being difficult or selfish. It's about respecting yourself. A boundary is not a wall you build to keep people out. It's a line you draw to show people where the door is. It teaches them how to treat you, and more importantly, it reinforces your own self-worth. Perhaps the idea that really hit home for you is the concept of starving drama. You've recognized that you have a habit of getting drawn into other people's chaos, or maybe even creating some of your own, because it feels familiar. Today, you make a conscious choice. You are no longer a consumer of drama. When someone comes to you with gossip, you politely change the subject. When you feel the urge to vent about a minor annoyance, you write it down instead, or you go for a walk. You stop feeding the beast. You'll be amazed at how much mental and emotional energy you reclaim when you stop participating in pointless conflicts and negative feedback loops. Your mind becomes clearer, and your life becomes quieter in the best possible way. The key is to pick one, just one, and implement it today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. In the very next conversation you have, in the next decision you make, in the next interaction that tests your patience. This is how real transformation begins. It's not a giant, dramatic leap. It's a series of small, intentional steps taken consistently over time. Each time you apply that one principle, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. You're laying a new brick in the foundation of your inner fortress. Listen to me closely. Stop letting people disturb your peace. That statement isn't just a motivational quote for a coffee mug. It's an instruction. It's a command you give to yourself. Your emotional state is your responsibility. It is not your partner's job, your friend's job, or your therapist's job to manage it for you. They can support you, but you are the ultimate guardian of your inner world. Your boundaries are not suggestions. They are non-negotiable terms for engagement. Your inner world is your kingdom, your sanctuary. You must protect it with the same ferocity you would protect your own life, because in a very real way, your quality of life depends entirely on it. The most powerful, authentic, and effective version of you is the one who cannot be shaken by trivial matters, cannot be baited into pointless arguments, and cannot be controlled by external chaos. That version of you exists. It's not a fantasy. It's waiting for you to build it, one conscious choice at a time. So start now. Pick your tool. Use it today. Your peace is right there, waiting for you to stand up and finally claim it. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. If this resonated, please give this video a like and subscribe for more content on building a stronger, more peaceful you. I'll see you in the next one.